Hey guys, and welcome back to the Game Not Game podcast. My name is Green, and with me, as always, is my co-host Zen from his channel Zen and Cyrene. How you doing, Zen?
I am doing well. How are you doing today?
I am also doing well. So, you said you had a story about a dude jumping out of a plane.
Yes, I have a story about a dude jumping out of a plane. And the headline here, well, maybe I wouldn't read the headline because it's not very good, but the upshot of this is that this guy, okay, so let me explain. This guy jumped out of a plane without a parachute or a wingsuit, did so deliberately so he wasn't pushed out of the plane or fell out without activating his parachute or anything, and lived. The first person to ever do so deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
And
did he have a plan, or was this a suicide attempt, or what?
No, he had a plan. What happened was that, and I don't think it's a great plan, but it worked. So he started off at 25,000 feet. Okay, this is quite some distance up in the sky. It was live on Fox, on the Fox network, because that's not a risky thing to do at all for the network. And
yeah,
then,
what?
I know, right? And then he landed on a 100 square foot net laid out to catch him. That was his plan. That was his entire plan, to land in a net.
That's not easy to do.
No.
Jeez.
No, he did it anyway. He flipped with seconds to go before he landed. He flipped on his back and landed on the net without hurting himself.
Wow.
And then
so there must have been like ballistic math done here, the same way like a plane dropping a bomb would do, right? Like they had to be like, okay, we're going this fast, so you're gonna jump like this, and then the arc is gonna take you to this net approximately, right?
That's got to be some kind of planning, yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I believe you can go watch the video of his jump on YouTube. I haven't done so personally because I only just found out about this, but it's so risky. I mean, not just for him, like I said, of course, there's a lot of risk for him, but also for the TV network covering it. And his family was waiting by the net, watching him as well. It's so much could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow. But the more I think about it, the more I do think actually, we do know a whole lot about the ballistic properties of things being dropped out of planes.
Sure.
So it's crazy, but it's probably, if you talk to the experts who made this happen, it's probably not as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he calculated and recalculated it, or, him together with other trusted advisors to make sure, but oh man, it makes me shiver thinking about what could have happened.
Yeah. Oh man. Yep.
So yeah, his name is Luke Aikins, Aikins. So if you want to go Google him and perhaps watch the YouTube video of him landing in the net after 25,000 feet of free fall, you can do so by jumping on your browser and doing that.
Mm-hmm. So when Zen first told me about this, he was just like, this is the first person ever to jump out of a plane without a parachute and live. And I was like, okay, I know for a fact that's not true. Yeah. And the reason I know that is because my step-aunt, when I was very young, she was a skydiver, and her parachute didn't work, and her backup parachute also didn't work.
No shit.
Yeah, and she landed in a swamp, or not even a swamp, but this horrible pool of fetid sewer water somewhere. There's, in a lot of ways not an ideal place to land, but it was an ideal place to land in that it was just soft enough to break many, many bones in her body, but still let her barely live.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But, surprisingly, she recovered really well. She was out of commission for a year or so from that, obviously. But she's for the past 15 or more years, she's just been, walking around totally normal. No really lasting damage that I know about anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I gotta say.
Yeah. It's one of those crazy stories where it's just she would have been so dead if she didn't happen to land in that weird, mud puddle thing.
Yeah. But, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And she almost was anyway, but that was just enough to save her.
Yeah, my God. Man, I can't even imagine. Oh, man.
Yeah. Like, oh, that would be so scary. Just, like, oh, both of my parachutes didn't work.
Yep.
Oof. And then you have to just fall the rest of the way, just knowing, like, well, I'm screwed. Like, you have to think you're gonna die at that point. There's no way that you're expecting to live. Man. Yeah. So anyway, that's my jumping out of plane story.
By the way, the reason why I brought up that story the way I did to you, the one about Liu Ricketts, is because the NPR news story headline was written that way, which is why I said at the beginning that it's a bad headline.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I was just like, man, sick burn. We're not even going to mention the headline. Fuck you, journalist.
Hey, I like NPR. But man, I think headlines, well, I don't want to say all headlines, but there's so many bad headlines nowadays written deliberately to get clicks, you know?
I mean, you have to do it. If you don't...
You have to, yeah.
If you don't have a clickbait headline, then you're just so far behind the game that it's, you know... There's just no way. Like, it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm a journalist, I have integrity, I'm not going to use clickbait, because you know what? You're going to be out of business incredibly fast. It's just, you can't put yourself at that kind of disadvantage.
Well, I mean, that's that, but at the same time, I get annoyed by some of the things that I see, you know?
Oh, totally.
Like, the one that really struck me recently was on Yahoo News, which I don't even know why I even read Yahoo News nowadays. Yahoo has some good things, but for the most part, it's a dinosaur, and that was shown by the acquisition. The Yahoo News reported about an off-duty cop. She was just hanging out on the beach, relaxing with her friends.
Oh, yeah.
And, she arrested somebody off-duty, but she did so in her bikini, right?
Yeah.
So there are pictures of her, because she was posting on Instagram, of her in her bikini. So this is an actual real thing. But Yahoo decided to run, together with the headline, just a totally, completely unrelated picture of what looked like a woman in a police bikini costume.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just to get... I don't even know why, you know. I mean, you could say just to get clicks or whatever. And, you know, I don't want to assume, but that looked a lot like a stripper costume or something, right? But the fact of the matter is that those pictures of the real person in her real bikini exist. So,
yeah,
and
that's just as clickbaity, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, maybe even more so. I've seen the picture, it's incredible. It's this, like, extremely muscular Scandinavian woman who's just, like, got this guy pinned down. It's a very impressive picture.
Mm-hmm. But nope, they decided to just run this super unrelated, I don't even know, stock picture? I don't know.
It's gotta be a stock picture, yeah.
Yeah, did they determine that more people will click on that? I can't imagine more people wouldn't click on the actual picture of the bikini-clad Scandinavian woman pinning down a guy, you know? So I don't get it. Yeah. It
sounds like a mistake to me in that case.
Yeah, probably, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, not like an accident, but like an error. Like a bad calculation. Yep. Man, did you hear about the thing with, there's a woman who does a lot of photography. I can't remember her name.
Oh, yeah.
But she donates all her pictures to the Library of Congress for like, you know, royalty-free pictures for anybody to use for whatever they want. And then, oh god, what's that place called? Like Getty Images or something? Yep. Yeah. Which is a huge stock photo retailer, just decided that they owned a bunch of her images and put them on the site with their shitty watermark on it, and then started claiming, like, copyright claiming people who were using these images. Mm-hmm. And it was a disaster. She's suing them for billions of dollars, which is, I think, about accurate, you know, because they're doing this ridiculous. They're just trying to make money off of her a huge body of work that she's donated. Like, that is, unthinkable, unbelievable.
So, apologies for that interruption, by the way. I lost connection for a while. But yes, what I was saying was that it's so It's so really unthinkable or stupid for Getty to do this, seeing that the Library of Congress, of all places, would have a record of the photographer. Her name is Highsmith. Just donating everything. Like, it's so easily provable that Getty does not have the rights to it. So why even? I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like somebody submitted it to Getty, and tried to pass it off as their work or something. Cause but that would be surprising to me too, because surely they know to search the images and make sure they're not copyrighted somewhere else. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mess. It's the sort of thing, how could you possibly think you could get away with this? And then, I forgot, the kicker was, they went on the artist's webpage where she had posted her own photography and tried to hit her with a copyright strike, and she was like, excuse me. So that's how she found out about this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely insane.
Here's another piece that shows what a piece of shit Getty is being in this instance, okay? You've heard of the photographer, I'm not even sure to get her name, Dorothea Lange?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she was a Depression era photographer, and she took a really, really famous picture in 1936 of a migrant in the Dust Bowl. Is this mother who is looking very despairing for two kids in the Depression era, right?
Yeah, I've seen the photo for sure.
Yeah. So it belongs to the Library of Congress, right? It's a national photo. So you can download it for free from the Library of Congress, or you can download it from Getty Images for a fee that might exceed $5,000.
How are they allowed to do this?
I don't know.
God. Okay. Well, man, yeah, all this stuff, it reminds me a lot of the YouTube copyright bullshit, where it's basically big companies that have effectively infinite legal resources just kind of take advantage of the fact that most artists are not going to have the opportunity to fight them.
Right.
It's a little different on YouTube though, because there's a whole system in place there where, it's not the legal system you're even fighting. You're fighting YouTube's system.
Right.
Which is designed to make individual creators lose most of the time, because YouTube doesn't have to keep an individual creator happy. They have to keep big companies with lawyers happy.
Man, I'll tell you something, okay? I mean, the way I've been personally affected by this is the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
I get hit by copyright notices for the Stanley Parable. And, I went to, what's his name? The creator of this Davey Whedon, okay? I went to him and I told him about this. And he told me that I have explicit permission to post these videos, right? So
yep.
I appealed the copyright strike for one video, and it came back to me, right? It was accepted, right?
Yeah.
Well, since then, I don't even know how many more claims I've gotten on them. It's just stamping out moles at one point, and at some point I decided, oh my god, I'm too tired to keep chasing these things,
Yeah, and at a certain point it's okay, yes, you're gonna get my fucking 4 cents from this old video that nobody watches anymore.
I mean, not in my case, really. My Stanley Parable videos are some of the biggest videos on my channel, actually.
Oh, are they really? I didn't know that.
Oh, that's because I did something rather different than most people on those videos. They've got tens of thousands of views. The reason I figured out how to open any door in the Stanley Parable using the Valve SDK or the console commands or whatever you call it, right?
Oh, wow.
So I could open any door, whether it was closed or not, and I did videos showing what kinds of things you would find in the rooms that you're not supposed to access, etc., etc.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So you still get reasonable views for those?
Yeah, most of my comments coming in nowadays are for that video.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So that's really shitty then. Never mind. For me, usually when I get a copy strike, it's my old Tiny and Big Let's Play. That's gotten 100 views in the last year. Okay, fine, whatever. Take my fucking ad revenue. Yeah.
Oh my god. I guess it's an automated system, but
it is, yeah.
Really weird that of all things, that's the one.
Well, I mean, it's not, it's just just occasionally I'll get a copyright strike for a super old video and just be like, oh, fuck you. Come on. Like, yeah, it's just something like that. Not necessarily. It has been tiny and big a couple of times, but it's just, it's all over the board.
Yeah. I mean, I got a copyright strike for a Japanese game, which I'm not surprised. The game is Yokai Watch, because Japanese music and television studios are especially over vigilant on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I got one for Roommates of all things, like that whole dating sim game. My God. And that one, the music, the theme music that makes it sound, well, I described it at the time like a drum machine falling down the stairs. That's what I got a copyright strike for.
Somebody's really proud of that.
Yeah, somebody's really proud of that.
Probably not the person who's doing the copyright strike, though. That's the fucked up thing. It's hardly ever somebody who actually has a legitimate claim to anything. It's mostly just bots that are just like, hey, this is a small studio who's probably not going to go after us legally. Let's just pretend we own this shit. And if they get enough copyrights, then it's like, it's as if they have their own successful YouTube video, but spread out amongst like 150, and they get all the ad revenue from that because people get scared, don't want to fight it. And YouTube doesn't do enough to like, penalize people who are abusing the system like that. It's really disgusting.
I know.
Actually.
I agree totally. And, the fact of the matter is that I could continue fighting the Stanley Parable ones, but at some point I'm so tired of it.
Yeah. You should just have a form, contest. Like, just write out once what you're gonna say when anybody contests Stanley Parable, and then just, all you have to do is just click on contest, click on I have explicit permission, Control-C, Control-V, done.
Yeah, it looks like I also have copyright issues with the beginner's guide. So well, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it seems as though David Whedon is working with a company, and it's not his fault. Let me be clear, but it's working with a company who's rather weird about all of this.
So it is actually a legitimate rights holder who's doing this?
I have no idea. I mean, I'll tell you the name of the company afterwards, but...
Okay.
But at this point, like I said, I'm just kind of tired of all of this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I will tell you that I haven't... those are problems that are legitimate, of course, but a YouTuber recently had an even bigger problem than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this really sucked for him. His name is a VG Bootcamp, or VGBC, and what seemed to have happened was that he had something like 12,000 videos on his YouTube channel, all about Smash, and which he uploaded over the course of 6 years. So he is one of the leading Smash streamers, I think, and so he wanted faster, or the community was asking him for more VOD uploads. And he got someone to help him upload while he was traveling, and because he went to Mexico. And then that person who was helping him managed to change the title and description on all 12,000 plus videos to the same title and description simultaneously. So every single video on his channel was titled the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it is. It's like, who wants to at once change the title of every single one of their videos to the same thing? What possible use could we have? We can't get to our video manager from the front page of YouTube, but we have the power to change every video to the same text at once. By accident, and not be allowed to undo it.
Yeah.
Fucking YouTube's UI, man. That makes me so scared that I'll accidentally do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I will. It sounds like it's actually pretty hard to do. I'm pretty surprised that this guy managed it. It's in like the advanced options of your video manager. You have to really dig for it. But it's in there, and this guy, I guess, was not very familiar with YouTube, was like, how do I change the description? Oh, here we go. It's in the advanced options.
Oh.
Let's just change everything. Easy.
Yep. Oh,
man. But apparently, I guess the guy got in touch with YouTube and got them to undo it, which is nice. But I'm hoping, because the problem with that is when you change titles and tags and descriptions and stuff, it messes a little bit with the YouTube search algorithm. So hopefully this isn't going to permanently reduce the search visibility of all these videos, but it may.
I mean, I the way he was explaining it on his video was that it also affects, when you watch a video, there are all these other videos that are on the side of the video player that are recommended videos, right?
Yeah.
And he said that according to him, it makes those videos that were retitled disappear off of that bar, which, again, according to him, that represents about 30% of his views.
Yeah.
So huge hit to his income, and he is basically a full-time streamer and YouTuber. So it's a good thing they managed to fix it. I just hope it doesn't affect his income in the way that he fears it will,
Yeah. Hopefully what YouTube did was not just rename them all back, but actually rolled back the change. But who knows how YouTube's backend works. Cause if it is he just changed all of the titles of those videos to one thing and then back to the other thing, it's not going to go back to the way it was in YouTube's search algorithm. Mm-hmm. At least not right away, which is unfortunate.
Yep.
But God, yeah, what a nightmare.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. I was thinking that it's a good thing that I'm too dumb to even know what that option is, because I would have been so afraid to have done that by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
Yeah. No, I don't think you're dumb enough to do it by accident. It's like I said, it's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. It's pretty obviously not what you want to be doing. I'm hoping that guy, maybe changed his password, said thank you for your help, but I think I'm gonna find somebody else to help me with my video uploads from now on. Holy shit. What a guy.
Yep. So,
speaking of incompetence, have you heard of the game This Is the Police?
I've only very vaguely heard about it. So, why don't you tell me more about it?
It's this weird narrative-driven game about, it's super weird. It's about a super, racist, sexist, homophobic, terrible police force that you're part of, under a really corrupt mayor. And it seems to be, entirely narrative-driven. It's almost like a Twine game, but with pictures kind of thing. But maybe a little bit less linear than that. I guess that's not a fair thing, but it's a visual novel, basically. But yeah, I've seen some screenshots of this on Twitter, and it's pretty weird. For example, there's a screenshot that I'll just read it out loud. There's a dude sitting in a corner who's all beaten up and bloody, and you have three options of what to say to this man. And you're a police officer, presumably, and you're good to see you're a real man. Can't see why they were saying you're gay. Or, the next option, well, you can tell us what we want to know, or we can lock you in a cell with a couple of rapists. Or your third option, what, are you staring at me, faggot? You disgust me. And those are your three options. That's all you can say to this guy. So that's the kind of game this is. Just what on earth? I don't know. So you just roleplay this really fucked up, terrible cop. And here's another one. This is a briefing from your mayor. It's titled "Fire All Black Cops."
Wow.
From City Hall. A racist gang has recently made some trouble in the city. They're capturing black townspeople and beating them to death. They recently sent a message to a local radio station promising to kill all the black doctors, firemen, and police. We don't need any more dead police. Especially not mere months before the election. The racists are gaining more and more followers, and even some of our citizens support them. You'll have to fire all your black employees over the next 2 days due to mounting racial tensions.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's this game. Which sounds like the developers are intending to make it like a parody of Modern Police and wake people up to the horrors of police in this society, but it sounds really unsubtle and terrible to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have some thoughts about that, but why don't you go on before I do that? Because I might go on a long tangent here.
Sure. So the reason I brought this up in conjunction with incompetence is because it's being published by a publishing company called Eurovideo, who made a terrible mistake. When you put a game on Steam, you have to like submit it to Steam for review by checking a box that's like, we're ready. You get an opportunity in pre-release to upload your stuff and then test it out and try it again and like upload different files, and Steam won't look at it. But when you want it to go live on the storefront, you tell them, okay, this is our candidate build, like, look at it, tell us how it is. And they forgot to do that, and they just had, everybody thinking, like, on Steam it was, like, releasing on this day, and everything. And then they found out, like, the day before, oh, whoops, we didn't submit it for review, right. Which takes a week. So, because this publisher, who is, presumably professionally qualified to release things on Steam, doesn't know how to release things on Steam. This game is now coming out on August 2nd, if you're excited about role-playing a horrible police officer. And you'll have to wait a little bit longer, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess mistakes can happen in terms of checking off that checkbox to actually release your game on Steam.
I guess so. I would understand it more if it was a misclick, but they just forgot.
Yeah, but I think that, well, this is a really important moment in any small indie studio, and they really ought to have double checked. So,
totally. Yeah, this is a huge mistake.
Yep. So here's the thing. My biggest problem with what you just told me about the game. I get the feeling that the game is marketed, or maybe being positioned in such a way of saying, hey, things, basically none of the choices you make are going to be just 100% good, right? It's one of those things that is supposed to depict kind of a gray morality.
Yeah.
Right? My biggest issue with that is that, number one, like you said, it's really blunt. And it's blunt to the point of just smashing it in my face, which, to me is not a sign of good humor or satire writing to start off with.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like an adolescent could come up with really, really blunt, sarcastic things, but none of it have the actual thought or wit behind somebody who actually can write, or at least has experienced a lot of those things enough so that they feel like the authority to write those things. No real insight into the issues, in other words, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But the other problem I have with that particular instance is that I kind of feel like this kind of satire writing is more effective if you're not just funneled into this, you are this asshole, because the message is just pushed into your face. Everyone's an asshole in here. Rather, it's much better, and a lot of established movies, books, etc. have done this, in which it's either you are playing your choices and you carry out what you think is right, so you're given more free reign over the narrative, or you are a person who just wants to do well or has good intentions but are corrupted anyway. Right? Mm-hmm. Because it shows more of what the system is doing in terms of grinding a person's soul to a halt.
Yeah, totally. If you just, like, the way you're talking to that gay guy is like, you don't have the option to try to be good.
Right.
They would be, like you said, it's way better if you can try to be good and still fail.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like this game gives you that kind of agency. Like, it's just like, here's what it's like to be a terrible person. These are the only 3 things you can think of to say. They all are dickhead things to say.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So the game really isn't so much about, the system and everything around you is terrible. It's about this guy is terrible.
Yeah. Not that everybody else isn't terrible, too, but yeah, I would like it a lot better if it was like you just had to make a lot of tough decisions.
Right.
And, ended up having to do terrible things even though you're doing your best to be a good person.
Right. I mean, as it is, I don't see much compelling reason to play this game, because if I wanted to actually try to get what it feels like to be in a poorly managed police department, I would watch The Wire, that HBO series. Or if I wanted just assholes, I would go to certain subreddits.
Yeah, and I should make it clear, those aren't just two like random screenshots from the game. Those are cherry picked, presumably. They were tweeted on the basis of being ridiculous. So
right.
Hopefully the rest of the game isn't like that crazy bad, but who knows?
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, again, just to be clear that we are looking at these screenshots, I haven't actually played the game. One more thing about that dialogue that you just mentioned, the one about, good to see you're a real man, etc. Mm-hmm. That is actually one of the screenshots on the Steam store page, it looks like, that they picked to highlight. So that's that.
They are pretty proud of that one, I guess.
Yep.
Some good writing.
But, if you have played the game, or if somehow you've played the game by now, and you have a different opinion, or you're listening to this in the future, please let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I'm interested in what the rest of the game is like, because really all I know about it is just people shitting on it on Twitter. Shitting on it on Twitter. So, who knows? Doesn't sound very good to me.
Yeah, I just want to say, by the way, just as a final note, is that I feel, and I've spoken on this a few times before on Twitter and in my other videos, I kind of feel like the more skillful you are in handling humor, the less adolescent I would view you as. Like, if you use humor, like especially sarcastic, demeaning humor, like a hammer, then I would just think that you haven't gone past your adolescent years yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Zen doesn't have a very high opinion of me.
That's why I put all my tweets there like that with hashtag dad jokes to make it sure that I am viewed like an adult dad. Yes. Yeah,
you gotta be a grown up.
Yeah.
Dad humor is the most subtle of humor.
Yes, very much so.
Oh man. So in other I don't have a segue for this, but in other news, the GTX 970 apparently has some issues that make it not quite as good as it was advertised. Like, for example, it's supposed to have 4 gigabytes of onboard video memory, but it has 3.5 gigabytes of fast memory and 3.5 gigabytes and 512 megabytes of slow video memory, which Nvidia says doesn't affect it meaningfully, but people were still mad about it. And there were also some other things about, like, I don't know, the teraflops or something. Not actually that, but some sort of specs that weren't quite up to snuff. So if you have bought a GTX 970, Nvidia owes you $30, apparently.
Yep.
Because there was a big class action lawsuit filed over that. So, worth looking into if you have one. You can probably Google it and find whatever form you need to make that happen. That'd be nice.
Yep. Oh, actually, I have one more update. Sorry, I am a little bit tired today, but you remember how a few episodes ago I talked about beach bounce, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's various sequels coming out. So
yeah, they were coming out with like 10 sequels.
They were coming out with 10 sequels, right? And I stopped playing Beach Bounce for the reasons I mentioned in a previous episode. Basically, I'm just sick of that kind of thing. But
yeah, it doesn't sound like it had a lot of like character development or anything. It's mostly the same shit forever.
No, and speaking of the same shit forever, the Steam page for Beauty Bounce is now up. All right. Yeah. So it's happening. It's up, and I saw it actually a few days ago, and I thought maybe it was a mistake, but it's still up. Okay. And it's called Beauty Bounce, not called Beach Bounce, but the graphics and the theme music in the video are exactly the same as Beach Bounce. The only difference is that they replaced the words Beach Bounce with Beauty Bounce for the logo.
See, that doesn't surprise me very much, because here's the thing. This guy got, like, how much money did he even get? Like,
something in 60, the range. Yeah, something like that.
60,000,
a few tens of thousands, 5 digits. Yeah.
Yeah. So somewhere around $50,000 anyway. And his response was, "Oh, I'll just make one game a month for the next like 10 months." And it's like, that's that's just not how game development works. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I got 10 times as much money as I was expecting. I'll just make 10 times the games, but in the same period of time.
Yep.
Like, one a month? Like, he doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to generate any kind of unique assets. He has to use what he's got and just fucking make it happen. Just like spit out a bad story, reuse assets of the same naked women from the previous game. Like, just, man, terrible.
I mean, at that point, he's making fan fictions of his own games and selling them.
Exactly. Yeah, it would be so preferable to actually, to make one or maybe two games, but actually spend the time to make them unique. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all if he's trying to pump out one game per month. Like, with any budget, that's going to end up being awful.
Yep. Totally agree there. His game output has been rather high, actually, because, well, I can imagine doing visual novels is not as technically demanding as other genres of games, but
sure,
one a month is way, way too much.
Yeah, you just, like, art takes time. You can't just be like, oh, I've got this much money, so I can just not sleep for a few days.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't even know. Maybe he knows his audience better than I. Nah, I don't think people will eat that up. No.
Well, who knows?
Yep.
Beach Bounce was apparently a huge hit.
I am constantly surprised by how well the Bounce, any game that he did from his studio did. Like, the Bounce games, or even earlier than that, sort of Asumi, awful game. The only reason I can think of was that he got in before the huge rush of visual novel games that came in over the last few months or so.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason, really.
Yeah, he got in on the ground floor, man.
Yeah, and he got a real bounce from the people who were waiting for that kind of game to come out.
Yep. It goes straight for what people are looking for. It just got the beach. And it's got the bounce. Those are the two things you want. He's distilled the market into its essence.
Yep, he found a real underserved market there. The beach and the bounce people.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's ever put those together before.
Nope.
There's some animes that have, but,
Man, every single school anime has like a beach scene. Every single one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's just expected.
Yep.
Oh man, I could go on and on about a manga called Bleach. By the way, I went on a Twitter tirade like over the last few days about it, but that's probably a bit too far removed from most people who, unless you are a manga reader like I am. So maybe next time if there's enough popular demand for that.
Did you say beach or bleach?
Bleach, like Clorox bleach.
Yeah. No, I know about Bleach.
Yeah. Yeah, oh god.
Yeah, you were saying that the big twist was going to be that Ichigo's Zanbakuto was Aizen all. I really like that.
I would not be surprised at all. Like, and when I said just now that I'm not meaning to imply that all of you listening to this don't know about this hyper popular manga called Bleach. No, I'm just afraid that it might be a little bit off. It might be too much of me like ranting basically on a topic that nobody's interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But let's make it very quick, okay? The final arc, this storyline has lasted 4 years. 4 years of this. And I don't even know why I'm following it at this point. I started reading Bleach in 2006, 2005, something like that, way back at the beginning.
So you're saying this current arc has been going for 4 years?
Yes. Just this arc.
Man. Okay.
That Aizen guy, the troll guy that we are mentioning about, like, and he really is a troll, and that's why he's a favorite character of a lot of people, because by being a troll, he's actually one of the most interesting characters there. He's been stuck in a chair that's supposed to remove his powers for 4 years. And last week he came out of that chair, finally. What is he doing in that chair? I don't even know. I think the author had meant to do something else with him, but now was just forced by the editors at the manga anthology, manga weekly magazine, to just stop, end the story. You've got 2 weeks, the end. Oh,
man.
like,
good stuff.
There's this other manga, okay? It's called Toriko. It's really popular. It's the same kind of, like people hitting each other over and over again. And it's batshit insane, alright? It's just completely off the wall insane. It's about this super muscular, almost Dragon Ball looking guy who just wants to eat. He's a gourmet, right? And he's super strong. And now at this point, they found out that God in this world is this gigantic frog, like huge world-eating frog, but they want to eat the frog. And, people are killing each other left and right. People are transforming into various other things. At one point, a giant crow gets blasted into oblivion. A giant snake. People are releasing spores into the air. It still makes more sense than Bleach.
Oh, man. That is a sick burn if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay.
Well, that's my manga rant.
So how did you feel about Starbound?
Well, Starbound, if you don't know, for those of you who somehow missed this, it's a Terraria-esque game made by some former employees of Terraria, or people who made Terraria, is that right? Some of them. Just came out early access this past week. How I feel about it is that I've played about 2 to 4 hours of it, and I generally think it's fine. It feels like Terraria with more slippery platforming, and it's perfectly okay by me. There's not much more I can say about it at the moment without going into some more details. What do you think?
I have a little bit of a different perspective from you, I think, because I've probably played about 10-ish hours of multiplayer with my friends on Doxy's stream, and so I have some thoughts on it. First off, I'll say it's good. Like, it's come a long, long way since the alpha. You remember playing in the alpha?
I remember,
right?
yeah.
Ages ago. Yeah, it was very different back then. Like, the alpha was kind of like more directionless, kind of like Terraria. It was like there was opening quests, but they were like, very like tutorial-y, just like find some wood, make a bow, shoot an animal. Good job. Okay, now just fuck around. With this game, it's like you start out in this academy and there's like a cutscene and a story and stuff, and there's a reason that you're doing the things you're doing, which is really weird. And very different from Terraria. It makes an effort to be a lot more structured than Terraria, which is, I think fairly successful. Like, there are a lot of places you can go where you are not allowed to dig, which is kind of a weird mechanic in a game like this, but it works, I guess. It's like you're transported into like a dungeon where you have to, go through the developer intended path and not do the Terraria thing of like, I'm too weak to fight this monster, so I'm gonna bury it in dirt and then shoot arrows through a hole into the dirt and kill it, which is something I did a lot in the early alpha of Starbound. But yeah, so it's a lot more structured than Terraria, and I think it also does a much better job of pacing than Terraria, because in this game, it's like, you still need to dig for your materials in a way that in Terraria you stop having to do. Because in Terraria it's like, okay, so I'm going to work my way up, I get up to gold armor, and you spend maybe like 10 hours doing that, just mining and having a good time. And then you fight a boss, and the boss drops all the ore you'll need to make the things. So it's kind of like, why did what's the point of mining Demonite in little 2-pocket clusters when you can kill the boss and get like 150 Demonite ore? So this game doesn't do that. You have to go back and mine more over time, which is cool. So it's like mine, kill a boss, mine, kill a boss, instead of mine, kill a boss, kill a boss, kill a boss, kill a boss, like Terraria is. So yeah, I do like that about it. I have noticed some weird things about it, though. I think it's still like it's still super glitchy and kind of needs some work. in that even in single player, have you noticed a little bit of lag in the single player?
I have not actually.
Have you not?
Yeah,
really?
I have not. The thing I noticed that annoyed me was again this slippery platforming. Like it's just really tough to stay on. You know how in Terraria you could just make a platform, basically one platform wide, and just stay on it or jump properly on it. I don't think you can do that properly in this game, which annoyed me actually.
Yeah, it's you get a little bit of slide when you land for sure. It's like it's not impossible to land on a one block, but it is hard. You don't want to do it because it's very easy to slide right off. And also, I don't like maybe this is just me, but sometimes only when I'm fighting monsters, but sometimes I'll hit a monster and it will like do a laggy network thing where it's like I hit it and then it like freezes for a second and then teleports to where it would have bounced back to after I hit it.
Oh no, I would have definitely noticed that. No, that never happened to me.
Huh. Yeah, it struck me as super weird because it was like, it's acting like I'm online, but I'm totally not. This is all hosted by my computer, but it's a little bit laggy anyway. In a way where it's not like frame rate. It's not like my computer's not handling the game right. It's like network lag, which is weird. Also, I've found that in multiplayer, a lot of times, host advantage in multiplayer, right? Like, because you don't have any latency to the server, because you are the server, you don't lag and everybody else does. In this game, it's the opposite. For some reason, whoever's hosting in Starbound, this has been true for a few different people, including myself, if you're hosting the game, you lag like crazy when everybody else is not lagging. Which is really weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's not, like, unplayably bad, but it is super annoying, and it gets worse over time. I think there might be a memory leak in the game as well, because after a few hours, we end up restarting our games to make it work.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Also, I found the most annoying glitch. When I first started playing with other people, I just brought in my survival mode character, which is like, there are 3 modes. There's casual, which is you don't lose anything but money when you die, and you don't have to eat. And survival mode is you have to eat, and you lose a bunch of items when you die. Not all of them, but a large assortment of them. And then hardcore mode is you lose your character when you die. So I was playing on survival mode because I thought that sounded more fun. And then I brought that into a multiplayer game. And my friend Definition was hosting, and a couple of times his game crashed, which means the server crashed and we got kicked out, which was fine, no big deal. Except that one time when the server crashed, it wouldn't just kick you out immediately, it would just like it would do the thing where you stop getting updates, so things will just keep on happening that shouldn't be like, you won't be able to do inputs like using an item or using an ability or something. So there's an ability, I can't remember what it's called, like the Echo Ball or something. It's a morph ball from Metroid. And I used that to go through a little hole in the wall, and there were some enemies over there. And then I was trying to kill them, and then the server crashed, so I was unable to attack them, but they were still attacking me, and I couldn't use a morph ball to leave. So I was just stuck in this room with these enemies, and they killed me while the server was down, and I dropped all my shit. And then when the server went back up, I was still dead, and I went back to where all my shit should have dropped, and it was gone.
Oh no.
Yeah. So because of the server crashing, all of my items were deleted. Which is like kind of an enormous multiplayer problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was super annoying. I had just spent like an hour mining the next ore I needed, which was tungsten, and I lost like 150 tungsten ore just because not my fault at all. Like there was not a single fucking thing I could have done differently.
Right.
So my advice is don't play survival mode in multiplayer, and also just be prepared for the fact that you're going to die sometimes in multiplayer, and it's not going to be your fault because that's just how it goes. It's an online game that is not super stable.
Yeah, that's a good warning, honestly, because I would have been really annoyed. I would have also, I just really annoyed. I mean, I would say put stuff in chests, except the chests actually are really small, at least the ones that I've found. So that makes I can.
Well, also like I was in the middle of an expedition. Like I lost all the stuff that I had gotten on that like hour I spent underground. I didn't have a chance to put it in a chest.
Actually, I have a question for you. What do you think of the hunger system in survival mode?
I found it to be less interesting than it could have been. It's too easy to get food, so it just turns into kind of an annoying thing you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it added anything either. And
yeah,
I honestly thinking if I were to go back into the game, which spoilers I won't because I don't have the time for it, I'll probably just play on the casual.
Yeah, casual has been fine. I thought it would be more boring than it was, but it's actually like totally a good experience. And if you're playing multiplayer, it's the only way to play it, I think, because you'll be like hardcore is impossible because you will die sometimes just to lag. And similarly, death penalty just doesn't make sense when you just have to expect that you'll die sometimes, in my opinion.
Yeah. I also have another question for you, since I think you've played this game much more extensively than I have. So Terraria Starbound was announced like, oh my god, 2012? Late 2011? Something like that?
So, yeah, maybe even earlier than that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. So it's 2016 now. The game just officially came out on Steam, out of early access. Do you think that the game has lived up to its promise?
I think so. I think people attributed a lot to the game that was not promised.
Yeah.
Like, the whole promise of the game is it's going to be like Terraria, but it's in space, and you'll be able to explore infinite planets, so you won't get the Terraria endgame fatigue of, I've just mined the shit out of my world and there's nothing left for me. And it totally does that. Like, that's a real thing that this game does, and it is cool. It's a good concept. It's not like some sort of crazy Terraria killer. I would say it has both advantages and disadvantages compared to Terraria, but it is a good take on the genre, and I think it's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's more or less what I think as well, because, I was listening to a podcast when playing the game, and when I first played Terraria, like years and years ago, it's the summer of 2010, if I remember correctly, I got to the end game of Terraria, whatever that was back then, I don't know, the dungeon or whatever. I spent a lot of time listening to podcasts and just playing the game by myself because at the time it was hard for me to find people. And I can see that, for this particular game, if I had the time to do it. But I wouldn't call it extraordinary. It was overhyped back then. It's perfectly okay right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it did what it set out to do. And it is. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Like, I think it's generally a good time.
By the way,
oh yeah, sorry.
No, go on.
I was gonna say one last gripe I have. I had forgotten about this, but it just occurred to me. Is to make armor you need fabric, and when you make your first set of armor, it's like, oh, fine, easy. I need some plant fiber, and that's everywhere. You use it to make health packs. So you need a trivial amount of plant fiber, but thereafter, you need increasingly refined types of cotton, which just means you need more and more cotton. And the only way to get cotton, as far as I've been able to tell, is like you go out and you find these random cotton plants, and they are not very common. And then you need to make a farm somewhere, and then just wait for them to grow cotton very slowly. And especially with as many people as we had, it just turned into this huge roadblock because it was so much easier for us to, like, we could get so much ore in the time it took for our cotton plants to mature, that was our limiting factor, and I found that to be very annoying. Mm-hmm. So, but it looks like it might advance into different things. Like, right now we need some silk, and I don't even know where to get that, but hopefully silk is not as annoying to get as cotton, but so far we haven't even found it, so who knows. But you can also buy it, which is nice. You can't buy cotton, but you can buy silk.
That seems really weird.
Yeah, it does seem weird. I have no idea why you can't buy cotton. And I think that would fix it in and of itself. If you could, like, if you're having a lot of trouble finding cotton plants, then instead of having to make your fucking cotton farm and not have very many plants in it because you can't find them, you just go and spend, like, 300 pixels on a piece of cotton, and then it would cost you, like, a few thousand pixels to make a set of tungsten armor, and like 10,000 pixels to make your set of Durasteel armor, and yeah, that wouldn't be so bad. But as it is, it's super annoying.
Yep.
And I hope they do something about that. Because that's just, that's in the first 10 hours that I've played. I don't know what it ends up being in the end game, but from what I've experienced so far, it's an annoying roadblock.
Right.
So
yeah, I didn't quite get that far, but I would have looked at that and be, thought, really? I have to do that?
Yeah.
And probably would have quit at that point and played something else. Maybe even a Roguelands, if I were in the mood for like a Terraria-like.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, for those of you in the comments listening to this, by the way, do let us know what you think of Starbound. And also do let us know if you're excited for Terraria Otherworld, now that the more details have been released about that. I should have looked at that before the podcast, but maybe you can talk about that next week.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they feel like they have to go back to the basics a little bit.
Yeah.
On it, like they were realizing that it just wasn't. I think they tried to take out too much Terraria from Terraria, and ended up basically making like a linear platformer, but in the Terraria engine, which would be terrible.
Yeah,
because the whole point of Terraria is being able to use your ability to shape the environment to tackle obstacles in unique ways. And if you take that out, then it's just a really mediocre platform.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I started playing Terraria again in 2010. I would never back then have expected Terraria to become the thing that it is today in terms of popularity. Not in a million years.
Yeah.
Because...
And also, like, God, the game has just changed so much.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and that is... I mean, that's definitely part of its popularity. Like, an update just dropped for it, didn't it? A few days ago, I think.
Did it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing some streamers doing that, and this was around the same time as Starbound, so that's kind of interesting timing there.
Wow, yeah, I bet they timed it deliberately if they did.
Yeah, it looks like 1.3.1 was released. No, that's May 2016. Never mind. I'm pretty sure there was a new update for Terraria. Let me just 1.3.11 maybe. That would make sense. Anyway, I'm having a problem with clicking on this page right now, so I'll go look it up later and make sure I'm right there. But I think a new one just dropped.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh yeah, one last tiny thought about Starbound. The multiplayer has gotten so easy to use since alpha. Like in the alpha, you had to do the bullshit where it's like, okay, you gotta forward the ports, blah blah blah, and it was cripplingly laggy. Like it was terrible in the alpha. It was so bad that the way we played the game was, like I said earlier, you would just, when you approached a monster, you would immediately throw up a wall of dirt and then mine your way toward the monster until you could completely engulf the monster in dirt, and then you would walk away from it. Because there was no point engaging in combat. It was impossible.
Right.
And then, like, to kill bosses, we would cheese them by, like, making them fall into holes we had dug and then shooting arrows down at it. But anyway, nowadays, if somebody is playing in single player, you can just join off of them in Steam and you're in their game. Like, there's no port forwarding. It just fucking works flawlessly.
Oh, good.
It's really impressive. And like I said, the lag is still a problem, but it's 10 times better than it used to be.
Right.
So there's a tiny bit more work to be done, but it's one of the easiest indie games to do multiplayer in I've ever seen in my life. It is so easy to set up a server.
Okay. Well, not sure if I'll be playing multiplayer, but that's good news for anyone who hasn't yet experienced the new multiplayer or the improved one and is looking to check that out. Yeah,
especially if you guys are thinking of playing with friends, but you're leery of playing a multiplayer indie game. This one's not one of the ones that's impossible to get working. Like, it's really actually very impressive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's Terraria in, excuse me, I keep wanting to say Terraria, Starbound in a nutshell. Again, if you have any thoughts about it, feel free to post a comment or send us an email, GameNotGameMail@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. You're like me with Axon. I keep on calling Discord Axon.
Oh man, every time you say Axon, I remember Axon. I keep forgetting that was a thing that existed.
Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah.
It's basically as good as Discord is now, or it was basically, except that Discord keeps on doing the thing where it disconnects us, and I don't know why.
Do you remember the time that when after I disconnected from, I think it was one of Doxy's streams, I forgot to get out of Axon, and I was talking about some fish jerky that Cyrene had made?
I think so.
Yeah. And you were wondering if I said it was fucked up, when I was really saying that I think I was saying it was good or something, because I actually don't say fuck at all, like in my real life.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Anyway, that is the issue with Discord and Axons. It's kind of easy, I feel anyway, to just leave it on.
Yeah, you have to really consciously leave a server. It's not like with Skype, where it's kind of obvious to you when you're still in a call. In Discord and Axon both, it's like you can just leave yourself in there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll see somebody accidentally in a channel forever, and I'll just go in and like whisper at them until they notice.
Man, somebody's going to go on r/no sleep and write a Discord story one of these days.
Yeah, one time I was doing it to CKD and he didn't have his headphones on, so I kept on whispering louder and louder, and he was like, I could hear him watching TV. And then he was finally he like picked up his headset and he was like, hello? Because he could hear me just making these weird whispering sounds.
Man, poor CKD.
It was pretty good. Anyway, I think that's going to be the Game Not Game podcast for this week. Thank you guys for watching. As Zen just said, email us, GameNotGameMail@gmail.com. Do it. Also, make sure to make your way over to Zen's channel. Check out the rest of his content. You can see his old Beach Bounce series if you want. Exciting stuff.
Yeah. If I haven't explained it before, I just ended it because I didn't feel like censoring the parts in which they were having sex in the back alley. I just got that was the straw that broke the camera's back for me. At least it wasn't animated. It wasn't.
That would make it impossible.
It's a lot tamer than it sounds, believe it or not, right? But even then, it was just, I'm just so sick of this, and then I stopped.
Yep. What you should have done is used Cam's face to censor things.
God
like
damn
he
it.
used to do.
Cam, oh man, I still have no idea why Cam deleted all the videos off of his channel. Maybe it was like a career move or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's weird.
Yeah.
He gets into moods like that and does irrevocable things.
Yeah. If his channel ever comes back, by the way, folks, be sure to go over there and watch all his videos. It's like a mythical beast that appears from the mist and then disappears again after like a month. So do that.
Definitely check out that mythical beast at youtube.com/currentlydancingcam, which is currently empty.
Yeah, except for that one video in which he is talking about what was it? Like, is your house
on burning house?
Are you in a burning house?
You're in a burning house?
Yeah. Why that video of all videos to leave behind? I don't know, but there's that.
That's his legacy.
Oh god. I up until the time he deleted it, I watch his Spelunky videos once a year. Like, without fail, and I laugh every single time.
God,
those were so good.
He can't see arrow traps. He'd jump right directly in front of him and be like, "Oh, what the fuck? Where did that come from?" Every time.
Oh god.
Oh man, what a man.
Like, and I'm sorry, I know we said we ended the podcast, but I just gotta say this. Cyrene and I recently redid our bedroom so that it's a lot more comfortable. And so the TV is in there and the PlayStation is in there. And we've been spending more time in the bedroom playing video games. But yes, actually playing.
But that's good for your relationship.
Mm-hmm. But yes, we've been spending more time there. And Cyrene actually saw me play Spelunky seriously for the first time because I have this Spelunky demo on my PS4. And it just really reminded me that even though it's not like I'm the biggest fan of Spelunky in the world, or I played it to the end.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it reminded me about how good that game is. Yeah, such a good game.
I still think it might be my favorite game of all time.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if a lot of people thought that.
Yeah, one of the strongest game designs ever. And I should take this opportunity to plug Derek Yu's book called Spelunky, which is, if you're interested in game design, what a fantastic read. Because he talks about all of the smart decisions he made in Spelunky that are not obvious at all.
Yep.
But it's a really cool window into the mind of an extremely confident or competent game developer.
Yep. I will say at that moment though, after showing Cyrene the mechanics of Spelunky here and there, I wish Cam's channel was still alive. Now that Cyrene could have understood why it was so funny, I would have showed it to her.
Yeah, that would have been great. Yep. Man.
Yep.
All right.
Game of the week for next week. Headlander.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Headlander.
Have you played it?
No.
I was going to say, is that from the game, like your imitation?
It's from the trailer.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know almost nothing about it.
It's a 2D Metroidvania in which you play as a disembodied head that can attach itself to different bodies.
Yep. So that's if you have the game, be sure to check it out. We will be checking it out next week on Game Not Game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an Adult Swim and Double Fine joint production, which is like, that's some star power. Those are both companies that are famous for incredibly good video games. So yeah, super looking forward to it. I love Metroidvanias, so I fully expect to love the shit out of this game. Can't wait.
Yep. Be sure to send us email, and I guess let's see. Oh yeah, be sure to go over the Greens channel. Check out the other videos while you're there, and the other podcast episodes, of course. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.